There's a tweet that was put out by Pro Football Focus, their college account. What college football opinion makes you feel this way? And it's a picture of a guy standing all by himself, looking into a mass of people saying, yes, you are all wrong.
Nice.
You're on an island. You're by yourself on this college football take.
I have one from a listener that we could begin with.
Let's
if you'd
start
like.
with that.
And we would love phone calls. It's a phone, apparently.
It does.
You dial the number. What's the number, John?
402-951-1620. It's a 42 Degrees Source hotline.
Easy enough to remember. Max emailed in, though, in the Equitable Bank inbox. He says, a college football opinion that leaves me on somewhat of an island. Get rid of bowl games. All of them. Even the legendary ones. Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, Pop-Tart Bowl, all gone.
Oh, well, let's keep the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's fun.
He adds, Nick, that model is so archaic. 16-team playoff, could be convinced to make it 20 with top seed buys, and then move postseason games to on campus. Only the Natty should be a neutral site. Maybe the semis can be neutral site too, but would prefer on campus. More conference championship games on campus move conference championship games on campus for the highest seed too. That's where college football is the best. Hell yes! What an email from Max. I couldn't agree more.
Well, see, but
make them all at home.
There's a lot in there. Some of that is a very populist opinion. Some of that, I mean, getting rid of all bowl games, as we know, the bowl Nazis would come for us and say,
but that's what this segment's for. It's for all them to yell at us and say you're wrong.
No, I know, but I'm saying there's parts of his idea that are very populist, and there are other parts that are very not.
Corbin says, this segment is just an excuse for John to say something that'll piss people off, isn't it? Yeah, I'm a little scared of where you're going to go with yours.
I think we should save John's for the end in like the last 15 minutes of the segment.
Nice. Oh, so yeah, I guess it's your turn now, John.
Well, I mean, this is one I've shared many times before that you like to mock me for, but occasionally on Saturdays, stepping away from the television and going out and doing something while listening to the game is enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people are saying you're wrong.
John is saying touch grass.
For the record, I do take Banks for walks on Saturday during games.
Your dog, right?
Yeah, my dog, not the Nebraska
that's going to
receiver.
stop this season.
But yes, like if you have lawn work to do or if you're washing your car or whatever you might be doing, taking your dog for a walk. It's fun just to pull up whatever game it is you were watching on TV, listen to the local broadcasters.
Phone call.
That's fun. That's enjoyable. I don't need to plant myself in front of the TV for 12 straight hours.
Yeah, you're a freak.
Well, this is why it's an opinion that I have that very few other people
I
do.
love watching the sport. Have you tried not watching it? That's pretty interesting.
I'm saying not watching. I'm just saying you don't have to watch every stinking play of every stinking game. Sometimes you can let your imagination run wild and let the local ambiance of the local announcer. It's kind of fun too. You hear some of the different voices you've never heard before calling South Carolina games or Kansas games or whatever the case.
Jan says it's still AM radio. Yeah, is this you just talking, speaking up for big radio because everyone likes to talk about TV these days?
Well, I mean, big radio, it's actually big, internet streaming because
I'm talking about phones again.
Pulling it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I definitely have.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, again, I take Banks for walks during games, but I just do that because
I'm sure it's like a 5-minute walk and you're like dragging him saying, no, we've got to go faster. I've got to get back to see this 3rd and 10.
No.
In this Illinois-Indiana game.
I don't pay for the varsity. I guess the varsity app is free, isn't it?
It's free.
Yeah, so I usually just pull up YouTube TV and I just, whatever game I was watching, I just listen to the television announcers. And sometimes then I can pull it out and watch it.
Garbage?
I can watch the game still.
It's a different type of announcing, though.
Banks is taking a dump. I can pull out the phone and, oh, wow, what a field goal.
How long are Mr. Banks' dumps?
Oh, I mean, 10 seconds. But sometimes he stops and sniffs. He's a dog, Nick.
Why not listen to the game as it used to be on the radio and let the announcer paint the picture for you, paint the word?
Because I like seeing the pictures.
I'm half with John on this.
Yeah,
but not for football. I prefer baseball on the radio. I don't like football on the radio.
John just has that kink of it's like you want to get away. That's the part that we're confused by. Yeah, see, that's the part where I disagree.
It's hard for me. I don't like sitting down and just being attached to my television all day.
Well, you don't. You pace.
Also,
there's no reason. I don't pace unless I'm nervous.
You could pace. Maybe you should try that this season. Pace during college.
Pacing is good for the heart.
And I don't get nervous during college football games.
Pacing is good for the heart, John. You should try it more often. Yeah, I like sitting on
I do.
couch.
I like pacing.
They do call it
while
a
I'm
pacemaker.
listening to a radio announcer call the game.
Cool. Very cool.
Well, there were some here were some of the submissions that I found underneath the
Oh, you're not going to let Nick or I give ours?
Wow.
Tough one for us.
yeah.
Okay. You just wanted to go right to the interneters. That's fine.
Well,
That's
we
fine.
can intersperse back and forth.
Okay. What do we got here?
Boys.
One respondent, 95% of Big Ten football is unwatchable for unaffiliated fans.
Punts.
High percentage, but I mean, I understand feeling that way about like Rutgers Maryland game, saying I'm not really interested.
Honestly, I could see it for any team not at least right now, any team not named Michigan or Ohio State. There's a lot of people that see the Big Ten that way.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I like watching football. Football is beautiful.
As somebody who's
not all
new,
of it's beautiful.
Yeah, like Iowa, Wisconsin.
As someone who's new to college football, I definitely like the Big Ten less than the Big 12. I would rather watch a Big 12 game.
It's a very fair take.
That's a very fair take.
Yeah.
So maybe that one's a little more populist.
Yeah.
Bambi. The
That wimpy
BCS is the best postseason college football model.
Bambi is a Gen Zer. That's a stupid take.
Get off your TikTok, Bambi.
Seriously. This is like a thing now
Gen Z doesn't even remember the BCS.
That's the thing, though, John. They're coming for it. They say it's so good. I'm serious. Young college football fans think the BCS was awesome because they never had to live through it. They didn't have to deal with it.
They like the
how did
idea
Gen
of
Zers
it.
appreciate something that happened before them because they never saw
It's
it?
very easy. You probably thought about things in the 50s that you enjoy.
I went through a whole 90s
because I
music
didn't
phase
live
when I
in
was in
it.
high school.
Wait, you've never looked back in time at something that happened before you were alive and said, that'd be pretty cool? You've never done that
not
one time?
much.
That is BS.
That
Get
is BS.
out of here.
There's no way.
You've never looked back in time and said, I wish that baseball was like it was in the 30s when everybody cared about it or something like that? You've never had that opinion about anything?
Or even racing. Racing was way more popular in the 60s and 50s.
I am always like, it'd be cool to have a January 1st that mattered
Also
like it was
wasn't-
when you were a kid.
It also
You've
wasn't
never-
as. It also isn't as fast. Either way, I don't.
That's a
think,
young person
I
thought.
don't think so. I don't think so. I
You
think
don't
that's
talk to young people.
I think that's an
see
older
this.
person.
No way. Older people don't think that BCS was great. BCS sucked. If you were there for it, you know it was a pretty miserable process. People hate computers.
Disagree.
What, you like the BCS?
No. I think there are some older folks out there because, and I'll explain why. Because back then, the bowl game still mattered to a degree because it was just one playoff game.
To a
right?
degree.
And that playoff game technically was one of the bowl games. So the rest of the playoffs still felt like it. But and listen, I'm not advocating this as a reason to go back to where it was. But yes, the bowl games, the more the playoffs grow, the less the bowl games matter.
Which is good.
And I don't disagree with it.
Going back to that other one, just get rid of all the bowl games.
All right, what other ones do you have?
All right. College football on Friday nights is a good thing. I love college football on Friday nights because I go home after work on a Friday and I'm excited for Saturday, but I still have a college football game to watch.
You think you're on an island with that?
Definitely. I don't think it seems like the majority of
You'd
the
be on
audience
an island
here.
in Western Nebraska. I don't know if you're on an island in.
I feel like college football fans in general, I mean, millions of people watch it, but it seems like the majority of people that I talk to dislike it.
I think markets where high school, like I bet most places in
Texas?
Texas hate this.
Yeah.
Or even smaller, like my hometown area. I think that because football is a big deal in these places that are so far from Iowa City or Ames.
Okay, well, I thought that was one where I was on an island about.
You think so? Okay,
I think so.
don't know.
And the other one, and we've talked about this before, but I say it, don't worry about going up against the NFL in the playoffs. Like, there's one thing you can do to fix that. You would have to start your season earlier. So either do it or stop crying. But, like, don't worry about moving games to Wednesdays and Tuesdays just so you can get a slightly bigger television rating. The NFL is going to do what the NFL does. Play games on Saturdays. That's what you're known for. You're college football. Or lobby your congressman and woman to, to extend what's the rule called?
They've kind of there's a bigger fish to fry when it comes to lobbying Congress for things.
They lobby them for dumb stuff all the time.
It's true.
Just move it back an extra week.
I don't think they're going to get much help on that, but I see where you're coming from.
Max says, I'm so pumped for Friday Night College Football. Good take, Josh. Headley agrees. Josh, I'm standing next to you with that take. But Sad Husker fan says, Friday Night Football, thumbs down emoji.
Yeah, I'm thumbs down on it because I want the high schools to have their special night. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very cool. And you know what? First of all, the quality of the games you're going to get on Friday aren't going to be that great anyway.
But it's football.
Also, if you're
not all football. Here's an island take. Not all football is good football.
Even bad football, though, is like.
No, bad football is bad.
Yeah, then how do you?
No, I do not love the Big Ten.
You love Iowa and Wisconsin.
I absolutely do not love the Big Ten.
How can you be so into the Iowa-Wisconsin game and yet you say not all football is good football? That game is the epitome of bad football being good to you.
Navy Army.
Yes, thank you, Nick.
Stop.
It is. It's horrible football, and yet you watch it every year
because it's a great rivalry game. And yes, good games can be low scoring. There's another one of my takes. Good games can be low scoring. You don't need to be your box. You don't need your freaking ADD. I need my Ritalin opinion of I got a point. It's got to be 45-40, or it's not a good game.
I don't want that.
Well, that's why I like the Big 12.
There you go. Yeah, Nick wants that. I don't want 45-40 every game. That's horrible.
But if you see a 10-9 game, you're like, oh my God, I've got hives.
Again, it's not the points, John. It's the way the football was played. Lots of turnovers, penalties. It's ugly football. Did you think the Nebraska-Minnesota game was a good football game? It was a horrible game. You're turning it over every 5 seconds. Penalties up the wazoo.
And that was just Nebraska's side.
But it had some compelling drama because of those things.
I mean, yes. Drama and good, though, are different things. Brock says, college football opinion, Tim Tebow is not the greatest player in college history. Brock, you are with the crowd on that one.
Yeah. There's maybe a half a dozen Florida people and Tim Tebow himself who are the only ones who think that. Here's Brian. Brian wanted to reach out and touch someone.
Wow. Hi, Brian.
Heck yeah. Howdy, gentlemen. How you doing?
Good. What is your college football opinion that you are on an island with?
Figure I can help you out in your quest to make phone calls, Brad, again, or whatever, John. Are you guys ready for a fun one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, strap in, because it's maybe uncomfortable for some people.
Boy.
I don't care what the prognosticators say, and call me a homer all you want, but your Nebraska Cornhuskers are going to march into Iowa City next season and boat race them Hawkeyes.
Wow.
Go Hawks.
Yeah.
Boat race them?
Absolutely.
Give me a boat race. Give me a boat race score. In fact, Brian, we're going to put you on the list.
All right.
Give me a score. I want a score prediction, Nebraska, Iowa.
Brian, is that with an I or with a Y, first of all?
Definitely with an I. I don't trust those guys that do it with a Y. They
nice.
Ain't right.
Not a Gen Zer.
All right, so Nebraska will beat Iowa by the score of what to what?
I could see 42-14, something like that.
Whoa! Wow.
Get the egg.
Save that audio, please.
That sounded a little James Bryant score picky.
I could see 52-38, something like that.
All right, Brian. I like that one. That I think you're on an island on that. Now,
definitely.
There's a lot of Husker fans who like to talk a big game, but deep down inside, they're like, no. I mean, has Nebraska scored 42 points cumulatively against Iowa in the last 2 years?
I will do the math on that for you.
What was the final score in the game 2 years ago? Brian, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Brian.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Wow, that is so last year they scored 10.
Yeah.
I believe in the year before they scored 24.
Yeah, so it's gone
34.
Yeah.
If you go back to 2021, Frost last full year, they scored 21. So then you get there. Kyle, noted Wisconsin fan, Kyle says, we didn't need this segment to learn John Bishop doesn't like football. The guy watches like 3 total games a season and complains about them. You do a lot of complaining about the sport that we all know and love. Katie says John's soapbox is insane right now.
I think Kyle might be dropping acid.
Dropping acid?
Wow. Or he got dropped on his head.
I
love football. I watch a lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't need to watch every football.
Interesting. And yet when I say I don't want to watch college basketball or college baseball, I'm the weird one. Very interesting, John. What is it about me and those sports?
No, you don't want to watch any of them.
Well,
there you go.
The lie has not been spotted.
Exactly. I just don't need to watch every football game, but I watch a lot of football. Football is on all weekend long
Yeah,
in my house.
Bigley said, Peterson said Frost. Yeah, Bigley, I was talking about the 2021 Nebraska season,
which famously had Scott Frost.
Sadly, he was still the coach.
I'm this is not one I have fully fleshed out.
Okay.
But I actually saw it shared as part of this
But the graphic
tweet thread
that
I might be coming around on.
Uh-oh.
The idea about the value of going to a bowl game because of the practices is so critical.
I've been noticing you lately. It seems like you've been like, I don't even know if that's true.
Think about this for a minute.
Okay.
Especially today.
Thinking.
The idea, though, of course, the theory is that, you go to the bowl game, you get the practices.
I believe that, for the record.
The practices aren't for the veterans because the veterans have been playing all season, right?
In theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless your roster is very youth-laden.
Youths.
But you've played through an entire season. So if those guys have played a lot of games, the rest actually isn't such a terrible thing. But the concept is, well, you get all those young guys who haven't played much this year a chance to get more reps.
Yeah.
How many of those guys are going to be back on the roster by the time those practices actually turn into something the following September?
Well, with Nebraska, they have not had a whole lot of attrition.
That is true, but
with other schools, it's a fair point.
But they are also an outlier, and I would dare say the law of averages will catch up to schools like Nebraska and others over time. I mean, it's just natural. I mean,
100%.
People can transfer.
Bowl preparation now versus the old days is
you're
way
also
different.
talking about practices that are happening in December. Theoretically, that could help you 9 months later.
Well, no, it's less about practice. It's more just about reps. You get an opportunity. Reps are,
but
reps are the spice of life.
You've gone through an entire season.
Dude.
You've been going nonstop since August, getting reps.
But you get more reps.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know if the practice reps you're getting in December are all. I mean, I think the spring reps are more important, the summer conditioning more important than the reps you're getting in December after you've played a long season of football.
So you think the reps are overrated?
I think they have been oversold to us. Of course they help. Anytime you practice your craft, it helps, right? But if you're looking at the extra bowl practices as needed development time for future seasons, I think it's a law of diminishing returns because they're happening so far distant from when those future games will take place.
But wouldn't you say for a senior at Nebraska who has played all 4 seasons or stayed all 4 seasons, they never get those. They haven't had that stretch in 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over 4 years, that is 60 additional practices. That's a lot of extra reps that they are missing out on.
But also consider that college football is a lot more. This theory made a lot more sense 20 years ago when the college football calendar was a lot more constricted. Now, I mean, guys are moving in right now. They are moving in right now to get in their summer conditioning and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
College football is not quite to the NFL yet, but it's getting there where it's a year-round
OTAs, those types of things.
Now, sure, the practice is a little different in that it's more organized and everyone is there and et cetera, et cetera. But the other part of the bowl practices too is you got a lot of coaches who are out on the road because you're out doing recruiting and things of that nature.
That's definitely true. That's a good point.
So again, I'm not saying that it's completely a waste of time or a waste of effort.
But
I think it has been
meaningless.
I think it has been oversold to us the value of those practices when you're looking at the modern landscape of football, where most of those guys that you're trying to get the extra reps for so that they're ready for next year probably won't even be on your team the next season.
I'd be fascinated to get to talk to a coach off the record and ask him that question. And say, like, where is the value in like a pie chart? Where's the value in bowl games? Because I'm guessing a lot of it is just vibes, right?
Yeah.
The vibes are good because you made a bowl game.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I mean, look, you bring up a lot of good points. I think what you hope for is that your school has a lot of players that stick around. But yeah, if Nebraska gets good or they have a lot of attrition and they have a lot of opt-outs, like yeah, it's fascinating, right? Last time Nebraska made a bowl game, there were like 2 players that sat out bowl season that year, and it was like wild. It was McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. And it was like, oh my gosh. Nebraska, when they make a bowl game again, whether it's this year or next year or 10 years from now, they'll be doing so in a wildly different era.
Yeah.
Nick, I want to hear your take.
I've got 2. You want both or just one?
Yeah, you can give us both.
So the first one, it's not, I don't know if it's super islandy or it's not very fleshed out, but the committee is dumb. I think they should get rid of the selection committee for the playoffs, and I think the playoffs should be determined in a true best team from each conference type of tournament.
Don't know if that is on an island, because, I mean,
right.
The issue is...
So you say
no wild cards.
Yeah.
So just conference champions?
I think it should just
now
be
that's
a conference.
islandy because you got a lot of Grand Brands people out there that hate the idea.
And now there's only 4 conferences.
Right.
4 power.
Which is why I think it shouldn't just be 4 power conference. I think we should bring some of the smaller guys in too.
No, yeah. So you're saying Nick says, well, now the math would be iffy because it's a 9-team playoff.
Right.
But you say no wild cards.
No wild cards.
Okay, yeah, that is definitely an island take because, yeah, people would be pissed
I don't
about all
hate
the
it,
other.
But I think it would be a more exciting product, and it gives a chance for other schools to actually rise and see something. You'd see some cool stuff.
Okay.
And then,
That's
definitely an islandy.
That's
Yeah,
an islandy take.
Then the second one, I'm fine with streaming exclusive games. Like games that are exclusively on Peacock or Paramount and Fox, if they ever decide to crap or get off the pot and have a streaming service or not, I prefer games on Peacock or Paramount.
we talked about with Brian Curtis a couple weeks ago. Like, I grew up in the era of $60 pay-per-view games. Like, I will take a Peacock game. I had to pay $60 to watch Troy, or my parents had to pay $60 so I could watch Troy.
Well, I mean,
that's horrible. $60.
yeah.
And it's $6 or whatever it is.
I mean, keep in mind, it's impossible to have every Division I college football team on TV every week. There's not enough windows. There's not enough networks, and there's not enough windows. So you're still going to have a lot of games that would be stream only.
Right. Most of them on ESPN Plus are stream. They're also
sure.
By the way,
lower
Johnny
tiers,
Pig,
but-
who played college football, now this was in a different era, says, I do believe John is talking out of his rear end now.
Oh.
But again, it was a different era when Johnny Pig played.
That's why I'm
now.
saying nowadays, those extra practices may not benefit you much at all because some of those guys that you're getting the extra. First of all, the veterans, especially the guys who are like, 4th-year juniors or 3rd-year sophomores. I mean, it's been a long season. Yeah, you still want to obviously practice for the bowl game because it is a game you are preparing for. But how it has been sold to us is, well, those extra practices are good for your overall development.
Yeah.
Well, the way rosters are now turning over more violently than they ever have before, I think some of those practices lose a lot more impact. Now, I would go back to another one of my islandy takes.
Yeah.
Everybody should just play an extra game.
We have had this take for years now. Yeah, everyone should be able to play another game.
Yeah,
it's all pretend.
If you don't make a bowl game, because listen, bowl games are meaningless.
Bowl games are a construct.
Say that to Sipple in 30 minutes.
They are meaningless in the sense that there's no value for winning them.
No. And again, now in the era of opt-outs, like it's just so hard for me to view people who think that they're not in today's era of college football more than ever. Like, I feel like we were on a bit of an island when we started saying this 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But dude, now when you have teams where their quarterbacks, where all the draft picks are saying no, and then a lot of other players are just getting into the portal, it's an entirely different team. It's an entirely different team.
So there are some of the takes that put us on an island.
Bigley says, I'm done paying to watch garbage. I'm with John. I'll just listen to AM radio until I die.
But it's a bunch of garbage for $6.99 a month.
There you go.
Well, you get extra garbage too, like reruns of your favorite TV shows, handful of movies,
wrestling,
an exclusive series, SummerSlam.
I think live sports on Peacock, especially popular live sports on Peacock, is a great idea. It's great.
It's also a great idea if it's on NBC.
Mm-hmm.